everybody, and welcome to Storm Reads. And today I'm going to be talking about my favorite books of the year. I had quite a few, and I couldn't narrow it down to just 10. So I'm just going to list all of them, and I'm not going to talk that much about them so that this video won't be very long, but I just wanted you to know which ones were my favorites. Most of these come from a series, which is no surprise, since I'm pretty much a series reader, since I read mysteries and romance and even some middle grade that are like trilogies or series and stuff like that. So pretty much everything I read revolves around a series. And I couldn't leave some of these off because they're like my favorite series, and so I couldn't make up my mind. So I have like, I think 17. Yeah, I have 17 books. It's not that many, but which is a lot for me actually, because most of the times I struggle to come up with what I think are my favorite books of the year, because I don't think I have that many. But this year I read a lot of the next book in the series from some of my favorite series. So, and sorry about the like strange lighting, but it's been a day and I really need to get these videos out, and the sun is just where it is. And so yeah, I just want to get these videos done so that I can get them edited and uploaded, with it not being too far into the like New Year. I was hoping to get most of it done before that, but I'm not sure if I'm going to get everything I wanted to get done before then, because this week has just not started off very well. But anyway, so they're in no particular order. Basically, they are in order of when I read them, because I just went down my list and found my like 5-star books and then put them on the list. So that's pretty much how it is. So even though some of my like super favorites might be down at the bottom of the list, that's just because I read them later in the year. And so the first one I have is An Unexpected Peril by Deanna Raybourn, and this is the 6th book in the Veronica Speedwell series. This is one of my favorite historical mystery series, and what I liked particularly about this one is that we get to learn a little bit more of how Veronica feels about the royal side of her family. And to understand that, you would have to read the series, because I do not want to spoil anything and say any more than that. But it was a lot of fun, because she always says like it doesn't bother her, but in a way it does. And so it was kind of interesting getting to see her in that kind of an atmosphere and everything. And of course, I love the banter between Veronica and Stoker. It's just one of my favorites. Then the next one I have two for the same series. And so this is the Sherlock Holmes Bookshop series, number 6 and number 7. So I have a Curious Incident and then a 3-book problem. And the first one, A Curious Incident, came out this year, and the 3-book problem doesn't come out until I think January of next year, but I got an e-arc of it and read it early. And I really enjoyed both of them. And this is because it was one of my favorite series. And I think the thing I liked in A Curious Incident is there is a young girl that she is trying to help, and Gemma is from England, so she has that accent, and she's very British, and the girl, who's like, I don't know, like 8 years old or something like that, was mimicking her, trying to use the words that she uses and how she acts and stuff like that. And everybody around her thought it was really cute, but Gemma had no clue, because she doesn't pick up on those kind of things. She can solve a mystery, and she can use things like Sherlock does to figure things out, but when it comes to actually her, she doesn't get it. And I think that's just one of the things I like about Gemma. And in the 3-book problem, it was kind of fun to have like a Sherlock setting, because most of the time, even though it is based around a Sherlock bookshop, it is not necessarily based around Sherlock or anything. But this one, there's a guy who was setting up a Victorian type weekend and had it all things Sherlock, and then that guy ends up dead, and so she has to try to figure things out. And I just thought that was funny, a lot of fun. Her and her friend Jane, they get themselves in quite a bit of trouble. And the next one I have is A Rising Danger by Jerusha Ajin. I'm not quite sure how you say her last name. It's the Canine Suspense #1. It's a romantic suspense novel. I read this during Sarah from the Bookish Narratives category romance readathon, and it was a lot of fun. It's about two people who knew each other, so it's a second chance romance, which I like that a lot. And when she knew him before, he wasn't very mature and he did things that she just was not happy about. And now he's grown up, he's different. It is a Christian romance because it's from the love inspired setting, and so he has matured through that kind of thing, and he's a Christian now, and he wants to prove to her that he is a better person. And they have bomb threats that they have to try to figure out because one bomb has went off, and so they are trying to find the guy. And it was pretty action packed. Plus, there was this romance and everything, and I just really enjoyed it. Then the next one is the Wallflower Wager from by Tessa Dare from it's Girl Meets Duke #3. Now this whole series is a blast. I've enjoyed every one of them, but I read the second one this year too, but I think the third one was my favorite. And I gave the second one 4 stars, but I gave this one 5 stars because Lady Penelope is an animal lover. I'm an animal lover. So you just know you're going to gravitate to that one. And, she is kind of a spinsterish, wallflower type. And she's living on her own. And she collects all these animals that, have had an injury or something. She tries to help them and tries to adopt them out and things like that. Which is kind of fun for a historical setting. And there's the house next door is empty, but a guy has decided to buy it because he thinks that if he can sell it, fix it up, sell it, it would make a big profit because there's a lady living next door. And their meeting was really fun because she was after one of her critters and she crawls through like the window of that house. I mean, it's supposed to be empty. So she didn't, think anything about it. She's just going to get her animal and runs into a man. So it was pretty fun. And their banner between them was a lot of fun. And yeah, Tessa Dare just always has really fun romances. Then, so the next one I have is Murder on Fifth Avenue by Victoria Thompson. And it's the 14th book in the Gaslight series. One of the reasons why I enjoyed this one over the other ones that I read this year, because I read quite a few from the Gaslight series, was because in this one, Mr. Decker actually has to ask a detective, Frank Malloy, for help. And if you've read the series, you know that is not something he wants to do because that is Sarah Brandt's father, and her father does not like Sarah getting involved with Frank Malloy, especially since he's below her station to begin with. Even though she's a midwife, she comes from a well-respected family that's pretty rich. And she just doesn't really care about that kind of stuff, and she continues to be a midwife even after her husband died, and that's how she supports herself. And she solves crimes with Frank Malloy because she seems to have a good knack for it. And he didn't want to have to involve Frank, but he needed somebody to solve it. He needed to be able to trust somebody, and he knew that Sarah trusts Frank Malloy, and so he had to ask him. And so I just thought that was a lot of fun that, he had to break down and ask him. So I like that one. Then the next one I have is Slashing Through the Snow by Jacqueline Frost, and it's the 3rd book in the Christmas Tree Farm series. It's really high on my list instead of down at the bottom because I did Christmas in July and I had an e-arc for it and I read it then because I couldn't wait till it came out. I wanted to read it then. And this one is my favorite kind of Christmassy setting for a cozy. It's set in the, I think it's Mistletoe, Montana, I think. And it's around these reindeer games, and there's like a little cafe that Holly's mom and dad run, along with the reindeer games and the Christmas tree farm, of course. And they've now got a new inn that they have built so that people can come and stay there and enjoy all the festivities and things like that. And Holly always ends up in the middle of solving a crime of some sort. And it's just so cozy, so whimsical, so Christmassy. And there is a character there that I swear is Santa Claus. And the next one I have is Railroaded for Murder by J.C. Eaton, and that's the 8th book in the Sophie Kimball series. Everybody knows, if you've watched my channel, that I love the Sophie Kimball series, so you knew it would be on here. And this one is about a railroading club, and they do a lot of like the little trains and stuff like that. Model trains, that's what the word is that I'm thinking of. And this one, I can't remember her name, but it's one of Harriet's friends, and Harriet is Sophie's mother, and they're quite a hoot. And anyway, since they've been involved in some of these murders, either they've found a dead body or they've just been in it somehow. This one particular woman, she kind of cries wolf a little bit. She sees dead bodies everywhere. So when she calls the posse with the fact that she thinks she's found a dead body, I don't really believe her. So Harriet calls Sophie and has Sophie go check it out. And Sophie's like, why do you want me to go check it out? I am not a cop. You know, she works for private investigators, but she is the bookkeeper. But she goes to do it because her mom wants her to do it. And of course there is a dead body, and so she gets wrapped up in that. And it's just a lot of fun. This whole series, it just makes me chuckle. I love my streetman. Harriet, she's over the top, but she's a hoot, and her antics will make you laugh. The next one I have is Death at the Crystal Palace by Jennifer Ashley, and that's the 5th book in the Cat Holloway series. If you see me looking down here, it's because I had to have notes because I would never be able to remember all this. Anyway, this one is another one of my favorite historical mystery series, and it has one of my favorite guys in it, Daniel. And he's very mysterious. You don't know what he does for a living. It's an upstairs downstairs world, and Kat is the cook for a aristocratic family. There we go. And she always gets involved in these crimes and figuring them out because she's good at it, and she gets involved because a lot of the wealthier people know that she's good at it, and so sometimes they will ask her to help them out, which is what happened with this one. She was out on a kind of her day off with her friends, which consist of Daniel and Lady Cynthia, and I can't remember the other guy's name, and then her daughter. And she sees this other wealthy lady who asks her for help because she thinks that somebody's trying to poison her. And so, you know, it's not easy for her to just walk into some other wealthy family's house and say, how can I help you? Because she's a cook, and you don't do that. So she had to figure out a way, invent a way to be able to go to some other aristocratic house or whatever. And so it was pretty interesting. And in this one, you actually get to know a little bit more of what Daniel does and why he does it. Okay, so I had to take a phone call, and so I'm not sure exactly where I left off. But I think I was talking about, I like the fact that you get to know a little bit more about Daniel and what he does for a living and why he does it. And it's not for a very nice man that he has to do these certain things, and he doesn't really want Kat to know about it, and he doesn't want that guy to know that he knows Kat because he's afraid that he might use her for leverage. But I do like the closeness that Kat and Daniel are getting with each other with each book, even though she doesn't think that it can be something that can happen. She doesn't trust that because he won't tell her everything and stuff like that. But it's a really good series. If you like historical mysteries, if you like the Veronica Speedwell series, I do believe you would probably enjoy this series as well. And so the next book I have is Cajun Kiss of Death by Ellen Byron. And this was the 7th book in the Cajun Country series, and it's the last book. And it's very bittersweet that I had to read this one because I love this series. It's got my favorite dog Gopher in it. And I just really love the characters of Maggie, Bo, her parents, her octogenarian grandmother, who's a hoot. And it's just a fun series set in Pelican, Louisiana, and it has a lot of good like Cajun stuff. There was a Mardi Gras book and everything like that, and it was just a lot of fun. And I didn't want to see it end. I really kind of spread it out a little bit. I didn't read it real quick, and yeah, I didn't want it to end. But I do like the way she ended it because she knew it was going to be ending, so she gave it an epilogue and kind of let you know kind of what happened to the characters in the future and stuff like that. And so that was kind of cool. I've never had a cozy mystery series do that before. A lot of times it's because they don't know that they're going to be ending the series until the publisher tells them they won't be getting no more. So they didn't get to properly end it. So that was the first time that happened, and I like that. The next one I have is Enjoy the View by Sarah Morgenthaler, and this is the 3rd book in the Moose Springs, Alaska series. It's a contemporary romance series. I don't read a whole lot of contemporary romance. I am a historical gal, and but I enjoy this small town Alaskan setting, and it always has a really cute animal in it that really kind of makes it. And in this one, there's a marmot, I think is what it's called. And it's kind of like a large rodent type thing or something. And he was so cute because it was attached to the guy who I cannot remember his name, and I don't know why I can't. I can't remember her name either. I mean, it's been a while since I've read these, so yeah. Give me a break on that. I'm not good with character names. But I like this one. The ladies come there to make a documentary, and she ends up getting one of the local guys to help her, and sparks fly, and trouble happens because she wants to go up at this mountain, and they were not prepared because they were not mountainous people. And yeah, it was pretty interesting. I enjoyed it, and it had its funny moments too. The next one I have is Murder at the Royal Botanical Garden by Andrea Penrose, and this is the 5th book in the Rexford and Sloane series. And this is another one of my favorite historical mysteries. And I also think if you like Veronica Speedwell, you would enjoy this one because it's about Lord Rexford and Charlotte Sloane. And the banter between the two of them is pretty fun. It's a lot like Veronica and Stoker. And in the first one in this series, the way they meet is Charlotte, she draws satirical cartoons for a newspaper, and she has 2 young kids, street rats, that will go and find information and bring it back to her, and she pays them and kind of makes sure that they're kind of taken care of. And they find out about this murder scene, and Lord Rexford was there, and so she does this drawing, and it makes it look like Lord Rexford was the murderer. And he's very upset, of course, and so he goes to find her and finds out that the he that he thought it was, because it's A.J. Sloane, is a she. And they team up to find out who the killer was, get him off the hook, and then they end up in more and more situations where they're thrown together by murders and stuff, and they've grown rather close, and things have evolved that I can't talk about, which is why I didn't want to talk too much about things that happened in this newest book. But I hope it's not the end of the series, because I mean, it's only 5 books. I need more. But if it is, then it ended okay. But I do wish that there would be more. So the next one I have is Relic by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. It's the first book in the Pendergrass series, and I don't know why it took me so long to even start this series, because a lot of people that I know really enjoy this series. I know that Becky from the Bookish Bryans really enjoys this series, and she talks about it quite often, and it has intrigued me then, but I just kept putting it off, and I wanted to start it. Some of the people in A Killing Time with Cozies who enjoy it was going to reread it, do a reread with me if I wanted to start it. So I did, and I really, really enjoyed it. I read the second book, and I enjoyed it too. It's kind of, those two kind of went together. I didn't like the second one quite as much as the first one, and but I can't wait to continue the series in 2022. It is one of the books that's going to be on my list to work on. I won't get caught up, but I want to work on it at least. And in this one, you've got De Acosta, who is summoned to a murder at a museum, and it's, you know, kind of a different kind of, it looks like an animal of some sort might have gotten a hold of the victims, but it's not really. It's something to do with this relic, and it's got a supernatural kind of lean to it and everything. And Agent Pendergrass is brought in, and he's got this southern laid back kind of feel to him, and he's just I really like him. He's a fun character, and he's got like kind of a dry sense of humor, and he was by far my favorite character out of the series, so I can see why it is called him by the series name instead of like him and De Acosta. It's just the Pendergast series. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and yeah, I can't wait to continue. The next one is Zeb Bolt and the Ember Scroll by Abby Elphinstone, and it's the third and final book in the Unmapped Chronicle trilogy. It was my favorite out of all of them. I really enjoyed the first one. The second one, I enjoyed, but I started out not quite caring for it too much until we got maybe to the halfway point. It was the character, one of the characters was really grating on my nerves. But she finally got turned everything around and started behaving better. And in the third one, you actually meet her when she's older, which I found very interesting. And which is why at first I thought you could read them in any order without starting at the beginning, but now I think you should probably start at the beginning, especially since Casper Talk from the first one is actually in the second book briefly as an old man, and then is it Fox or Fibber? I guess Fibber. Anyway, there's Fox and Fibber where the two, they were twins in the second book, and the girl is in the third book, but she's like in her 30s, so she's like grown up, and she knows all about the unmapped kingdom and all them things, and she actually is a social worker and finds Zeb, and she was going to kind of help him, but then Morg the Harpy got to him first and zipped him to the Unmapped Chronicles, and she had promised him that she would be back for him, and he has a hard time because he's a foster kid, and everybody always abandoned him, and he pretty much thought she would probably abandon him too. So I really enjoyed like the storyline that had to do with her and him, and how it gets all wrapped up in the end. It was just really sweet, and so it became my favorite one out of all of them. Sorry if I moved and I'm not in the right spot, but I had to go talk to my father for a second. And so let's see. Yeah, the next book I have is Eddie Whatever by Lois Ruby, and this is a middle grade contemporary, and I don't read a lot of contemporaries for middle grade. I can probably count them on one hand. I really haven't read that many. And it's a genre in the middle grade that I am trying to read more of, because I have found that I actually enjoy more of them. I especially enjoy them if there's a little bit of a mystery edge to them, and that's what this one was. And in this one, it has Eddie, who has to have a mitzvah project. So his mother volunteers him to work at the retirement home. And, you know, what young boy wants to go and talk to a bunch of seniors and everything? But he actually learns a lot from them and everything. But there's also some things go missing there, and he gets accused of it. So he has to try to figure out what's going on. And there's just really some fun seniors in this book. And I think if you're somebody who likes books with an older people in it and the seniors, then you would enjoy this book if you like middle grade. It's really cute. The next one is Killer Research by Jen McKinley, and that is the 12th book in the Library Lover series. And I know everybody knows that I love this series. So you know it would be on here. But yes, it's just one of my favorite cozy. It's probably my number one favorite cozy mystery series. It wasn't this, before I would said that The Tourist Trap was my number one until I read this series, and now it has become number one. It has bumped it down one. And in this one, it's all about Mrs. Cole. And Mrs. Cole is one of those characters that has had the most character growth throughout the whole series. In the beginning, you do not like her at all. She is called the Lemon for a reason. She is not very nice and everything, but she does grow on you as things go by, and you find out a little bit more about her backstory, and you find out all these things and everything, and it's just cute. And this one had the murder had involved her as maybe being a suspect, and so it was quite fun. And of course, Lindsay had to figure it out. The next one I have, and this is the last one, is Sleigh Bells Ring by Rayanne Thane. And I've never read this author before, so I was pleasantly surprised to find out how much I really enjoyed her Christmas book. It's definitely got that small town Christmas feel. It was very Christmassy and heartwarming and sweet, and yeah, just it checked off all the boxes, especially the cover. So it was kind of like an automatic grab. So yeah, so I was really glad that I enjoyed it, and I do want to check out more books from this author. Now, I said that was the end, but I'm going to talk about two more. They're not favorites. They are more or less surprising books. They are books that I probably gave 4.5 stars to, but this year I wasn't giving out 0.5s and stuff very much. But I think I'm going to go back to that next year because, yeah, it was bugging me. I have to have my points in there. And this would be Ross Poldark, which is written by Winston Graham. And I started watching the show on Amazon Prime, and then I found out that it was based on a book series, and so I went and got the series. And it's a saga. It's a 12-book saga. And I really liked what I watched on the show. So I really wanted to try the series, and I was pleasantly surprised at how much I loved the book. I really, really enjoyed it. I wanted to get to the second book this year, and it just never worked out. I checked it out from the library a couple of times and everything, but I just never got around to it. So that is one of the things that I am going to try next year, is to read a couple more books in that series, because I really did like the first one. And the next book I have to talk about is Pride and Premeditation by Tirzah Price. Now, this one surprised me because I'm really picky about retellings when it comes to some of my favorite classics. And this is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, but it's in a more modern setting, and it's got them flipped around and everything. So, like, Elizabeth wants to be a lawyer, but her mom wants her to marry a lawyer instead of being a lawyer, and her dad is a lawyer, and Darcy works for a different law firm, and so they kind of bump heads that way. And Bingley, who is Darcy's best friend, ends up accused of murder, and he comes and asks for her help a little bit, and she wants to prove that she can solve this and be a lawyer. Her father says that she has to prove that she would be good enough to actually be a lawyer, so she wants to take this on and try to figure it out, and bumps heads quite a few times with Darcy. And it was interesting to see who they decided to make like the culprit and everything. And I did like who they had as the bad guys. That was kind of fun. And so I was very surprised at how much I really did enjoy it, because they did have things turned around. But it had the essence kind of Pride and Prejudice. But, the author did a really good job with like that, but with just kind of changing things around a little bit and made it modern. And it was really enjoyable. So I was really surprised. That now is all the books. So yeah, there's quite a few books. But like I said, I just couldn't narrow it down to like a top 10 or anything like that. So I just decided to just talk about them all. And so What I'd like to know is what are some of your favorite books that you read this year? Did you have like a top 10, or were you like me and you just had so many of them it was really hard to choose from? Give me like maybe your top 3 if you can do that. I know that's very hard to narrow down, but or at least just throw out one. But I would like to know. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye.